Have you ever wondered why losing weight feels so hard? Even though you're trying to eat less and move more, you cut the calories, you increase the workouts, but the scale barely budges. Or worse, it creeps back up. It can feel frustrating, like your body is working against you, and many people give up because they think they just don't have enough willpower. But here's the truth, it's not your lack of effort, it's not your lack of discipline. The real reason weight loss feels like a constant uphill battle has everything to do with powerful science happening inside your body. Deep inside, your hormones are sending signals to either store fat or burn fat. Your metabolism is adapting to every single decision you make, slowing down or speeding up depending on the type of food you eat. The amount of sleep you get, the level of stress you carry, your cells are constantly communicating, deciding whether to use energy for repair, growth, or fat storage. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think weight loss is simply a math equation, calories in versus calories out. But biology doesn't work like a calculator. Two people can eat the exact same number of calories, and one will lose weight while the other gains. Why? Because hormones like insulin, leptin, cortisol, and ghrelin are dictating what the body does with those calories. If insulin is high, fat is stored. If leptin is ignored by the brain, hunger never shuts off. If cortisol is elevated from stress, the body clings to fat. This is why someone can be eating less, but still not losing weight. Their internal chemistry is fighting against them. This isn't bad news, though. It's empowering because once you understand how these mechanisms work, you no longer have to guess. You no longer fall for gimmicks or crash diets that leave you feeling deprived. Instead, you start working with your body, not against it. You start making decisions that flip the right switches, turning off fat storage and turning on fat burning. In this complete guide, I'm going to walk you through the exact science of how to do that. You'll learn how to lower insulin naturally so your body can tap into stored fat for energy. You'll discover how fasting works at a cellular level to reset your metabolism. You'll understand why real food, not processed, packaged products, is the foundation of effortless fat loss. You'll see how sleep and stress are just as important as diet, and how a simple shift in your daily movement and mindset can make all the difference. For years, we've been told the wrong story about weight loss. Count your calories, eat less, move more, and the pounds will melt away. If that worked, nobody would struggle. The reality is weight loss isn't about starving yourself or punishing your body. It's about healing your metabolism, restoring balance to your hormones, and creating an environment where your body feels safe to let go of excess weight. And the best part, you don't need to do it with confusion, complicated plans, or expensive products. The answers are rooted in science, but they're also simple, practical, and sustainable. Once you apply them, you'll not only lose weight, you'll gain energy, confidence, and long-term health. Stay with me, because the science of weight loss is about to become clear, and once you see how it works, you'll never look at dieting the same way again. Most people are taught that losing weight is just about eating less and exercising more. On paper, it sounds logical: burn more calories than you take in, and the body should shrink over time. But in reality, if it were that simple, weight loss wouldn't be one of the most frustrating challenges so many people face. You've probably met someone who eats very little, exercises every day, and still struggles to lose even a few pounds, while someone else seems to eat freely and barely gain weight. The difference between these two people isn't just willpower, it's biology. The body isn't a calculator, it's a chemistry lab. What you eat is not just calories, it's information. Every bite of food sends signals to your hormones, your brain, and your cells. Those signals tell the body whether to store energy as fat, burn it for fuel, or hold on tightly because it fears famine. When you understand this, you realize why calorie counting often fails long term. It ignores the powerful role of metabolism and hormones. Think of insulin, for example. Insulin is often called the fat storage hormone. Its job is to help shuttle glucose from the bloodstream into cells. When insulin is elevated most of the day from constant snacking, sugary drinks, and processed carbs, the body can't easily access fat for fuel. Even if you're eating fewer calories, if insulin is high, the body is in storage mode, not burning mode. It's like trying to lose weight while the switch is stuck on store. Now, consider leptin, another important hormone. Leptin is produced by your fat cells and communicates with the brain about energy reserves. When leptin is working properly, it tells your brain we've got enough fat stored, you can reduce appetite. But when someone becomes leptin resistant, which happens from too much processed food and too much body fat over time, the brain never gets the message. It thinks you're starving even when you're not. This is why some people feel hungry all the time despite eating enough. Calorie counting doesn't fix leptin resistance, but food quality and lifestyle changes do. Then there's ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone. Ghrelin rises before meals to signal hunger and falls after eating. In a balanced metabolism, ghrelin helps keep appetite in check, but poor sleep, stress, and certain processed foods can disrupt ghrelin, leading to constant cravings. You might have noticed this after a short night of sleep. Suddenly, you're hungrier the next day and crave sugary, high-calorie foods. That isn't a lack of willpower. It's a hormonal response. Let's make it simple with an analogy. Imagine your body as a car. Calories are like the gasoline you put in the tank, But hormones are the mechanics that decide how efficiently that fuel is used. If the mechanics are out of balance, the car guzzles gas, runs inefficiently, and stores excess as sludge. You could pour in the same amount of fuel as another car, but get a completely different result depending on how the engine is tuned. That's metabolism in a nutshell. Another way to think about it is two friends going out to dinner. They both eat the same 800-calorie meal. Friend A stores most of those calories as fat because their insulin is high, their sleep is poor, and their metabolism is sluggish. Friend B, on the other hand, uses those calories for energy and repair because their hormones are balanced and their metabolism is more flexible. The difference isn't in the calories, it's in the biology. This explains why crash diets often fail. You might lose a few pounds in the beginning by cutting calories drastically, but eventually the body adapts. Metabolism slows down to conserve energy, hunger hormones rise to push you to eat, and fat storage signals kick in stronger than before. This is why many people regain the weight, and often more, after dieting. The body is wired for survival, not calorie math. When you begin to see food not as numbers on a label but as messages to your metabolism, everything changes. A meal of processed snacks and sugary drinks might fit into a calorie target, but the hormonal chaos it creates makes fat loss nearly impossible. On the other hand, a nutrient-dense meal with protein, healthy fats, and fiber may have the same calories but sends a completely different message, lowering insulin, balancing leptin, and calming ghrelin. The result is effortless satiety, more energy, and natural fat burning. Understanding this science is liberating. It means you don't have to live your life starving or obsessively tracking numbers. By working with your hormones, you can create an environment where your body feels safe enough to burn fat. It's the difference between forcing weight loss through restriction and unlocking weight loss through biology. Insulin is one of the most misunderstood hormones in the world of weight loss. Most people have heard about it in the context of diabetes, but very few understand how it quietly runs the show when it comes to fat burning or fat storing. You can think of insulin as the master switch. When it's elevated, your body is told to store energy as fat. When it's low, your body finally gets permission and to burn stored fat for fuel. It's not good or bad, it's simply doing its job. But in today's world of constant eating and processed foods, insulin is working overtime, and that's where the problem begins. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugar, insulin is released from the pancreas to help shuttle glucose into your cells for energy. If you eat a balanced meal of protein, healthy fat, and some fiber-rich carbs, insulin rises gently, does its job, and then falls back down. But if you sip on soda, grab a bag of chips, or snack on a muffin between meals, insulin shoots up sharply. Do this repeatedly throughout the day, and instead of small waves, your body is hit with a flood of insulin that never really comes down. Over time, this constant elevation locks your body into fat storage mode. The human body was never designed to handle this nonstop surge. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors ate whole foods and often went long stretches without eating. Insulin would rise when food was available and then fall back down, giving the body time to burn fat in between meals. Now, with easy access to processed food and a culture that promotes constant snacking, insulin levels remain high all day long, and when insulin is high, fat is off limits. It doesn't matter how much you exercise or how few calories you eat, your body simply won't tap into its fat reserves. This is where insulin resistance comes in. When the body is exposed to too much insulin for too long, the cells stop responding properly. Imagine a friend calling you nonstop. At first you pick up every time, but if the phone never stops ringing, eventually you start ignoring it. That's what happens inside the body. The cells begin ignoring insulin's signal, so the pancreas responds by producing even more insulin. Now you're stuck in a vicious cycle of high blood sugar, high insulin, and fat locked away in storage. For someone who's insulin resistant, losing weight feels nearly impossible. They might cut calories and increase exercise, but because their cells aren't responding properly, the body refuses to burn fat. Hunger increases, energy crashes, and cravings for sugar and carbs intensify, all because insulin is constantly dictating the rules. This is why so many people blame themselves for a lack of willpower when in reality, it's their hormones that are blocking progress. To make this more relatable, think of insulin like a traffic light. When insulin is high, the light is red, fat burning comes to a stop. When insulin is low, the light turns green, stored fat is released and burned for energy. If your day is filled with processed foods, sodas, pastries, and constant grazing, your light stays red almost the entire day. On the other hand, if you eat fewer processed carbs, focus on nutrient-dense foods, and give your body time between meals, you'll start seeing more green lights. And green means go. So how do you lower insulin naturally and flip the switch back toward fat burning? The first and most powerful tool is intermittent fasting. By simply extending the time between your meals, you allow insulin to fall back to baseline, giving your body a chance to finally tap into fat stores. Even starting with a simple 12-hour overnight fast, finishing dinner at 7 p.m., and eating breakfast at 7 a.m. creates a window for insulin to lower. Over time, extending that window to 14, 16, or more hours can amplify fat burning and healing. The second tool is shifting what you eat. Low-carb, nutrient-rich foods like leafy greens, avocados, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised eggs, nuts, and seeds all create a much smaller insulin response compared to bread, pasta, cereal, and sugary snacks. This doesn't mean carbs are the enemy, but the quality and timing matter. Swapping processed carbs for whole food sources like sweet potatoes or berries makes a big difference in keeping insulin balanced. Another simple step is eliminating liquid sugar. Sodas, energy drinks, and even fruit juices because some of the fastest and sharpest insulin spikes. These drinks don't just give a temporary rush, they set off a hormonal cascade that leads to fat storage, cravings, and crashes. Replacing them with water, sparkling water, or unsweetened tea can dramatically reduce insulin levels throughout the day. Movement also plays a role. Taking a short walk after meals helps muscles soak up glucose, which lowers the demand for insulin. You don't need hours in the gym. Even 10 to 15 minutes of light movement can support insulin sensitivity. Combine that with resistance training a few times a week, and you start retraining your body to use fuel more efficiently instead of storing it. The key is not perfection, but consistency. Every time you choose to delay a snack, swap soda for water, or move your body after a meal, you're nudging insulin in the right direction. Over days and weeks, those nudges add up, and suddenly the traffic light starts turning green more often. That's when weight loss feels less like a battle and more like a natural process because your biology is finally on your side. Intermittent fasting has become one of the most talked about strategies for weight loss and health, and for good reason. At first, the idea of skipping meals might sound intimidating, even unhealthy, because we've been conditioned to believe that eating small meals throughout the day keeps metabolism running. But when you step back and look at the science, you realize fasting isn't new at all. It's something humans have practiced for thousands of years, whether by choice, by culture, or by circumstance. The body is designed to go through periods of eating and periods of not eating, and when we honor that rhythm, incredible things happen inside. The most powerful change fasting creates is lowering insulin. When you go several hours without food, insulin naturally begins to fall, and as soon as insulin drops, your body finally gets access to stored fat. Imagine a lock on a treasure chest. Insulin's the lock, and fasting is the key that opens it. Without fasting, that lock never comes off, and fat remains inaccessible. But with fasting, the body doesn't just burn calories, it switches fuel sources from glucose to fat, something known as metabolic flexibility. Fasting also boosts growth hormone, which surprises many people. Growth hormone isn't just for kids, it plays a key role in fat loss, muscle preservation, and cellular repair. Studies have shown that fasting for as little as 24 hours can significantly increase growth hormone levels. That means you're not only burning fat, but also protecting lean muscle, which is critical for long-term weight management. On top of that, fasting activates autophagy, the body's natural housekeeping system, where damaged cells are cleaned up and recycled. Think of it as a spring cleaning for your body, removing the junk so you feel younger, lighter, and sharper. For beginners, fasting doesn't need to be extreme. One of the simplest ways to start is a 12-hour fast. If you finish dinner at 7 p.m., you simply don't eat again until 7 a.m. That's it. This overnight fast gives your body a break and is gentle enough that almost anyone can try it. Once you feel comfortable, you can extend that window to 14 or 16 hours. A 16-8 fasting schedule means fasting for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour window, such as eating your first meal at 11 a.m. and finishing dinner by 7 p.m. This is one of the most popular and sustainable methods because it fits easily into most lifestyles. For those who want to take it further, there's OMAD, 1 meal a day. It sounds intense, but many people find it surprisingly freeing. Instead of worrying about 3 or 4 meals, they enjoy one nutrient-dense meal and let their body spend the rest of the day in repair and fat-burning mode. One of the biggest fears people have about fasting is hunger. They worry they'll feel weak, tired, or unable to function without constant meals. But what actually happens is the opposite once the body adapts. At first, you may feel hunger waves because your body is used to being fed every few hours. But as insulin levels stabilize and fat burning turns on, energy becomes steady, mental clarity sharpens, and hunger naturally decreases. Many people are shocked to realize they can go half the day without even thinking about food once their metabolism adjusts. Hunger becomes something they manage instead of something that controls them. Another fear is energy crashes. People imagine fasting will leave them sluggish, but this is usually because they're used to fueling on sugar and processed carbs. When those quick-burning fuels run out, the crash comes. Fasting teaches the body to run on its backup generator, fat, which is a far more stable and long-lasting energy source. Once you tap into that, you feel like you've unlocked an endless supply of energy. That's why so many people who practice fasting talk about feeling lighter, more focused, more productive throughout the day. There are countless inspiring stories of people who tried fasting and saw life-changing results. Someone struggling for years with weight loss plateaus suddenly starts dropping pounds once they adopt a 16-8 schedule. A person battling constant cravings finds freedom because fasting retrains their hunger hormones. Others notice their skin clears, their energy soars, and they sleep better, all because their body finally has time to rest and repair instead of constantly digesting. These stories aren't just anecdotal. Scientific research backs them up, showing that intermittent fasting can improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and even extend lifespan. The beauty of fasting is that it costs nothing, requires no special equipment or supplements, and can be adapted to anyone's lifestyle. You don't have to change what you eat right away, just when you eat. Over time, combining fasting with nutrient-dense whole foods makes the effect even more powerful. Instead of fighting against your body, you're aligning with the way it was designed to function, giving it the space and conditions it needs to thrive. When most people think about losing weight, they immediately focus on calories. They pull out an app, start logging numbers, and try to stay under a daily limit. But here's what often gets overlooked. Your body is not a simple math equation. It doesn't treat 100 calories of broccoli the same way it treats 100 calories of soda. On paper, those numbers might look identical, but once they enter your system, the response is completely different. The soda spikes blood sugar and insulin, creating a rush of energy followed by a crash, while the broccoli provides fiber, nutrients, and steady energy without a massive hormonal surge. This is why food quality always outweighs calorie counting when it comes to sustainable fat loss. Real, nutrient-dense foods communicate with your hormones and metabolism in a way that supports fat burning. Grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised eggs, leafy greens, avocados, nuts, seeds. These foods are loaded with vitamins, minerals, and compounds your body recognizes and uses for repair and energy. They keep you satisfied, reduce cravings, and stabilize blood sugar, which prevents the roller coaster of hunger spikes. Processed foods, on the other hand, are engineered to hijack your brain's reward system. They're stripped of nutrients, filled with additives, and designed to make you overeat. This is why a bag of chips disappears so quickly. You're not just fighting willpower, you're fighting biology. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins each play unique roles in the way your metabolism functions. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which raises blood sugar and triggers insulin. When those carbs come from processed bread, cereal, pasta, or soda, the blood sugar spike is sharp and insulin rises quickly. Over time, these constant spikes lead to insulin resistance and fat storage. But when carbs come from whole foods like vegetables, berries, or sweet potatoes, the fiber slows absorption, blood sugar rises gently, and insulin stays under control. The result is steady energy instead of a crash. Fats, often unfairly demonized in the past, are essential for hormone production and long-term energy. Healthy fats from sources like olive oil, coconut butter from grass-fed cows, salmon, and nuts not only fuel your body but also keep you full for hours. Unlike carbs, fats have a minimal effect on insulin, which makes them powerful allies in fat loss. When you eat enough healthy fat, you're less likely to experience cravings because your body finally feels nourished. Protein is another key player. It has the highest thermic effect of all macronutrients, which means your body burns more calories just digesting it compared to carbs and fat. Protein also helps preserve muscle, which is crucial because muscle tissue is metabolically active and burns more energy even at rest. Beyond that, protein activates satiety hormones, so meals rich in protein naturally reduce hunger and overeating. A breakfast of eggs and avocado, for example, will keep you satisfied far longer than a bowl of sugary cereal, even if the calories are the same. To put this in perspective, think about how you feel after eating different meals. A fast food burger with fries and soda might leave you stuffed initially, but within a couple of hours, you're tired, bloated, and craving something sweet again. A plate of wild-caught salmon with vegetables cooked in olive oil, however, leaves you energized, clear-headed, and satisfied for hours. That's not an accident. It's the difference in hormonal response, nutrient density, and metabolic signaling. One meal pushes your body into storage mode. The other encourages fat burning and healing. When you consistently choose real foods over processed ones, your body begins to reset. Insulin sensitivity improves, hunger hormones stabilize, and energy becomes steady. You no longer feel like you're battling against cravings because your body is actually getting what it needs. This is why people who switch to whole foods often say they're eating more than ever, but still losing weight. It's not about deprivation, it's about nourishment. Food manufacturers want you to believe all calories are equal so they can keep selling cheap processed products. But your body knows the truth. The calories in a sugary drink do not provide the same value as the calories in an avocado. One inflames and stresses your system, while the other heals and supports it. Once you shift your focus from numbers to quality, fat loss becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural outcome of treating your body the way it was designed to be treated. When most people think about losing weight, they focus on food and exercise, but very few realize how much stress and sleep control the entire process. You could be eating clean and moving your body daily, but if your stress is high and your sleep is poor, your hormones are working against you. The key player here is cortisol, often called the stress hormone. Cortisol isn't bad on its own. It helps you wake up in the morning, stay alert, and respond to challenges. But when it stays elevated for too long, it becomes a major roadblock to fat loss. When cortisol is high, your body goes into survival mode. Blood sugar rises, insulin follows, and fat burning shuts down. Your body thinks it needs quick energy to handle the stress, so it drives cravings for sugary, processed foods. That's why a stressed out day at work or a late night of studying can leave you reaching for cookies, chips, or ice cream. It's not weakness, it's biology. Cortisol is telling your brain, we need fast fuel now, and the fastest source is sugar. Sleep is deeply tied to this process. Studies show that even one night of poor sleep can throw your hormones out of balance. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, rises, while leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, falls. Insulin sensitivity also drops, meaning your body doesn't handle carbs as well. That's why after a night of tossing and turning, you not only feel exhausted, but also crave junk food and feel hungrier than usual. One disrupted night can make you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle, and if this becomes a pattern, it makes fat loss incredibly difficult. Think about a tired parent who finally gets the kids to bed late at night. They collapse on the couch, exhausted, and instead of craving a salad, they want chocolate or pizza. This isn't about lack of discipline, it's the brain demanding quick dopamine and energy after being depleted by stress and lack of rest. That pattern creates a cycle. Poor sleep leads to cravings, cravings lead to poor food choices, and poor food choices lead to more stress on the body. Over time, weight creeps up even if the person feels like they're trying hard. The good news is that addressing stress and sleep unlocks an easier path to fat loss. One powerful tool is sleep hygiene, simple habits that set you up for quality rest. This can be as basic as dimming the lights an hour before bed, avoiding screens that emit blue light, keeping the room cool and dark, and creating a consistent bedtime routine. Just improving the quality of sleep can help regulate appetite hormones and reduce late-night cravings. Managing daily stress is equally important. Breathwork is one of the fastest ways to calm the nervous system. Something as simple as inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6 instantly lowers cortisol and brings the body into a state where it feels safe. Practicing this a few times a day can help reset your stress response. Meditation, journaling, gratitude, or even short walks outside can also act as powerful stress relievers. These practices tell the body it's not in danger, allowing hormones to balance and fat burning to resume. Movement helps as well, but it doesn't always need to be intense exercise. In fact, if someone is already stressed and sleep deprived, punishing workouts can raise cortisol even more. Gentle activities like yoga, stretching, or walking in nature lower stress without pushing the body into overload. The combination of better sleep, calming practices, and balanced movement is often the missing piece for people stuck at a weight loss plateau. Once these areas are addressed, cravings begin to fade, energy becomes more stable, and fat loss feels less like a fight. When the body is rested and relaxed, it doesn't feel the need to cling to fat for survival. Instead, it becomes willing to release it because the internal environment signals safety. This is why fixing stress and sleep can sometimes unlock progress even faster than changing food or exercise. It's the foundation that allows everything else to work properly. When most people hear the word movement, they immediately think of intense exercise, hours in the gym, sweating through cardio, or lifting heavy weights. But the truth is, the foundation of long-term fat loss isn't just about workouts, it's about daily movement. The human body was designed to move frequently, not sit for hours and then squeeze in a quick session at the gym. Something as simple as walking after meals can dramatically improve blood sugar control and keep insulin in check. A 10 or 15-minute walk after dinner can do more for fat burning than many people realize because it helps the body use fuel efficiently instead of storing it. Resistance training is another powerful tool. Building muscle is not just about looking fit, it's about creating a metabolic advantage. Muscle tissue is active, meaning it burns more calories even at rest. The more muscle you carry, the easier it becomes to maintain a healthy weight without extreme diets or constant cardio. Strength training also improves insulin sensitivity, strengthens bones, and protects against age-related decline. It's like giving your body a savings account of health that pays dividends for years to come. Alongside movement, mindset shapes the outcome of every weight loss journey. Too often, people chase quick fixes or punish themselves for not being perfect. But real, lasting fat loss comes from consistency, not perfection. One unhealthy meal doesn't ruin progress. Just like one healthy meal doesn't create instant results, the inner dialogue matters. If you constantly tell yourself you're failing, your actions will reflect that belief. But if you focus on small wins, drinking more water today, walking after lunch, choosing a home-cooked meal instead of fast food, you start building momentum. Each win reinforces a positive identity, someone who takes care of their body. Gratitude is a powerful tool in this process. Practicing gratitude rewires the brain to focus on what's going right instead of obsessing over setbacks. Starting or ending the day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for lowers stress, improves mood, and makes it easier to stay consistent with healthy habits. Gratitude shifts the journey from punishment to empowerment, which is where long-term change happens. Consistency is the glue that holds everything together. It's better to walk for 10 minutes every day than to do one extreme workout once a week. It's better to eat mostly whole foods consistently than to follow a strict diet perfectly for a short time and then give up. Progress compounds, and when you focus on stacking small actions, the results sneak up on you. Instead of chasing dramatic overnight changes, you're building a lifestyle that naturally keeps the weight off. Imagine what life looks like when all of this comes together. You wake up with energy instead of exhaustion. Food is no longer a source of stress but nourishment that fuels you. Movement feels enjoyable instead of forced. Cravings no longer control you because your body feels balanced. You approach challenges with confidence because you know you have the tools to handle them. Fat loss is no longer the goal. It's the byproduct of living in alignment with how your body was designed to function. And as the weeks and months pass, you don't just lose weight, you gain health, freedom, and the ability to enjoy life more fully.